So we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, welcome everyone to CTA's Construction Talks. And just to give a lot of you just a backstory, if you were not here on last week with our Construction Talks with the carpenters, CTA's Construction Talks are virtual construction industry conversations that we wanted to host while maintaining social distancing. So this will be a series of collaborative outreaches that CTA will host with multiple partners to ensure that individuals during the pandemic are made aware of training and workforce opportunities in the construction industry. So we are looking at this as we are bringing training, construction training and workforce opportunities to your living room with our collaborative efforts with our multiple workforce partners. So without further ado, I have some special guests that I'd love to introduce you guys to, and I'm going to allow them to do the introduction, but I'm going to introduce myself. My name is China Hampton. I am the Senior Project Manager for Construction Workforce Initiatives at the Chicago Transit Authority. I have some folks from the Public Building Commission here, along with city colleges, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Lori Lipson. I'm the Chief of Staff at the Public Building Commission. I look forward to our conversation today.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Cheryl Freeman Smith, Director of Apprenticeship Partnerships with City Colleges of Chicago.
Perfect. All right, so without further ado, we're going to jump right into the conversation. So, of course, you guys are here to find out more about professional roles in the construction industry. So let's talk professional roles. So, Lori, can you talk to us more about what it is you guys do at the Public Building Commission, what professional roles look like in construction, and give our viewers some insight on that?
Okay, sure will. Thank you so much, China. We can go to the first slide. So again, my name is Lori Lipson, so I look forward to your questions in the chat box. The PBC, most people don't know what we do, but we are a steward of public funds and we build on behalf of city clients. So that includes CTA, city colleges, CPS, Park District, Metropolitan Water. And so we're all over the city as far as building construction. Next slide. So I wanted to go over a couple of the agencies and things that we do. So we start from the beginning of a project to the end of a project, which includes assessment, capital planning, financing. We can do acquisition. We do remediation, which is the environmental cleanup of a site prep, which is getting the site ready for a construction project, and also the planning, design, procurement, construction, operation, and maintenance. And those are some things that people typically don't think about when they think about construction. And our partners are listed for those who are on Zoom and can see the slides. Those are some of our other partners, which include the fire department, police, and we'll go over a couple of those pictures so you can see some of our recent work. Next slide. So the first picture you'll see here is some of our jobs that we have done. So in the corner, you'll see a fire station, Fire Engine Company 109, and we've done, we used to have a fire program, and so most of the fire stations that you'll see, some of the newer ones are some that we constructed. Next to that, you'll see Pingtime Field House. It's in Chinatown. It's a cool field house. There's a lot of events when we're able to go back outside. You can have a really cool jazzy wedding on the rooftop. It's really intuitive. And one of our prize jobs that we have is Chinatown Branch Library. It's a really cool library. As you can see from the shot below, there are no walls in the corridors as typically you would think in a library, but it's really a unique design that we're really proud of and received a lot of awards. Next slide. Here you'll see a couple of our South Side high schools. Some may be familiar, South Shore International High School is a project we built on the south side. It holds 1,200 students. In addition to that, Inglewood, which STEM High School, which just opened up this year, is a really unique campus. It is really fantastic when school opens to have a virtual view. You can also look at our website as far as some of the interior pictures. Their theme is Black Panthers, which I think is super cool for the high school. Next slide.
And I'm
That's
I'm getting a delay on my end, so when you're telling me next slide is just positive, my apologies.
No worries. I should be filling in the space. So our next one, we have our partner, City Colleges, on the phone. We also built Kennedy King College a few years ago. And if you have a chance, Richard J. Daley Manufacturing Technology Engineering Center, if you drive by Ford City, you can see the older building on the right side, and on the left, you'll see a really cool industrial manufacturing school that I know Cheryl will go in detail of some of the programs that they have there. Next slide. And with Daley College, you'll be able to see the different offerings that City Colleges will be able to facilitate once we go through some of the careers. And here I just wanted to show, not only do we do new construction, but here are some additions of new constructions, especially if you look at Lincoln Elementary School, which is one of the, it's not the oldest school in CPS portfolio, but it's let's call a antique school. And we built an addition to that school, and we tried to complement the new annex with the old building. Next slide. And there you'll see Bell Elementary School and a Humboldt Park Library. We also do a lot of renovations. So here you'll see the piping on the left is actually, it's now called CVCA, but anybody over 25 used to be called CBS High School on 87th Street. And we can redo gyms. You'll see Air Force Academy and Jones College Prep. Next slide. Here you'll see a different vantage view of CVS High School. I keep calling it CVS, but it's called CVCA High School, where it was a $55 million renovation. And we also have a Park District field house program we had for, it was 2 parts, and 2 of them included McKinley Park Field House and Harrison Park Field House, you'll see at the bottom screen. Next slide. So as you can see, we are all over the city. For those other Southsiders, you'll see Lindblom High School. And before the new Malcolm X of City Colleges built, we demolished the old Malcolm X site. And this is on the right side is a zoom view of Rosenblum Park, which is next to South Shore High School. So sometimes we do projects that integrate Park District, CPS together. Here you'll see water reclamation at some of the plants, and you'll also see Retrofit 1, which is basically making more energy efficient facilities for those in the city.
Oh, Lori, I think that I wanted to poll our viewers before you go any further, and just a question that, and I think that you can answer this with your next slide as well. Is there a growing demand for professional services in the construction industry? So we're going to give our viewers an opportunity to answer this quick poll and just see where we are.
Okay. Oh, I received the poll too, so let me answer. Oh, host and panel, okay.
So we've got 100%, well, we've got 4% to say no, and then we've got 96% to say yes.
Okay, should I tell them who's the winner?
Let's talk about who the winner is for this one.
Okay, the winner is everyone who put yes. So that's a great segue, China, that you cannot construct a building without the professional services. So there's two parts of construction, what we typically call front of the house and back of the house. The back of the house is everything's but the hammer and nails. And for folks to go out to start their work, there was a lot of work that was done in the background for the project to start. And we're going to go over some of those things that you need in order to actually start a construction project. You just don't go out and start building. So the first one would be project management. So project management is basically the function of making sure scope, schedule, and budget. And budget, as you know, is one of the key things that they should be focusing on. But project management is making sure that the project is going as smoothly as possible. All the milestones are being hit. At the same time, budgets are being hit. They're making sure the schedule, the folks on the ground who are actually working, all those things are coming together in one to make sure it's a successful project. And the careers that would be in this group would be, you can be a project manager, you can be assistant project manager, and you can be a senior project manager. And typically what an assistant project manager is responsible for is to take pictures of construction progress, to note any deficiencies, and make sure they give it to their project manager. They're responsible for daily reports. So you're recording everything that's happening on the job site. So you're going to say, Lori Lipson's excavator is here today. They have 8 employees. I have 8 people from the concrete division here. And while that is happening, this is the progress. At the same time, I'm going to look at the drawings to make sure they are on time. And at the same time, I'm going to make sure they're on budget. So all that information is given to the project manager. The project manager is ensuring that all the subcontractors, including the general contractor, is working together to make sure that the project is moving successfully. But the project manager also has to make sure that they work with the engineer and the architect. And so on the next icon, you can see that you have to have someone who drew the drawings for the project. And the engineer typically is a coordinator. So you might have a mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and they're coordinating all those drawings to make sure that the building is drawn properly. They're ensuring that all the code related items, so they're making sure it's going through Department of Buildings, making sure they have all the things that are required for a project. So the project manager is also working with the engineer and architect. And those are professions that are professional services that people typically don't think about for a construction project. In order to do all this work, you have to have human resources. So whether that be with the general contractor or for owner's rep or someone like the Public Building Commission to make sure that you're hiring people, they're onboarded properly, they're getting paid, right? Which is one of the most important things. And making sure the office is running appropriately. So every construction's company, especially a big general contractor, typically has human resources. So that's the skill set that's necessary to ensure construction takes place. And then you have also the project managers working with the communications team to make sure all those things are being communicated to especially when you're building in the public arena, all those milestones and all those deliverables that you've been talking to the community about has come about, and that press releases are being made. We try to do pretty graphic presentations like the one you see today are going through. So those are the folks that you might see sometimes at ribbon cuttings, when, for example, if the mayor is giving a presentation, that the communications team is working with that. So that's another arena people typically don't think about in construction. Now, as the project is moving along, you're going to also make sure that the general contractor, the folks that are building the building, are in compliance for all the things that they promised on the job. So that includes some of the important provisions that all of our agencies take at heart, and that's to ensure that minority and women-owned businesses are actively participating, they have a meaningful role, and again, more importantly, getting paid to ensure that the tradespeople are getting paid, and there's a representation on the job site of minority and female workers. So that includes your journey workers, your apprentices, and your laborers. So all those things come together, and that's typically called compliance. So some agencies call it diversity, some people call it contracting, some people call it different things, but mainly what they're making sure that the contractor is in compliance of what they promised at the beginning of the project. So while that is happening, they're turning in certified payrolls, we're getting confirmation that they got paid, and the position and the function that makes sure all that paperwork is coming in is document management. So just imagine if you're building a vertical building, you're going to have hundreds and hundreds of sheets of drawings. You're going to have hundreds of sheets of daily reports. Remember, you're going to make sure that everything is moving along. And all those documents, all that correspondence, all those pictures, all those certificates of insurance, all those things are documented and housed properly. And so that's where document management would come into play. So folks either use software, some people still use hard copies. So there's a niche group that really makes sure that document management is occurring on the site. In addition to that, there's typically, and sometimes they're called different things, controls. And what controls is main function is to ensure that we're doing some data analytics, right? So you want to, while you're looking at the budget, you want to make sure you're trending in the right direction. You want to make sure if there's changes that they're noted properly and that those dollars are spent accordingly. So someone in the back house is ensuring that all these dollars are funneled properly and that they are being used in a proper manner. And someone is in charge of making sure of that. So if you're a statistical person, if you're really a logical and detail-oriented person, this is the skill set you need for this particular career set in construction. And then we go to procurement. So while we're getting all these things, we have to procure or purchase or buy these functions, which means we have to get the general contractor on board. And how do we do that? We typically issue for bid. And those are folks who are working on making sure the contracts or task orders or small commodities, they're called different things in every city department, and making sure all those things are done properly. And each agency has different things they have to make sure. So like CTA has to make sure their DBE, disadvantaged business enterprise, is on track. And again, that's going to relate back to compliance, because they're going to make sure once we procure that compliance is on deck to make sure that those things promised in the contract are moving. So as we're moving along, right, so dollars are being spent. So let's go to the finance. So we had the budgeting. We think the project costs, let's say $100. Now this person, the finance is going to make sure bills are being paid, right? So you have to have accounting. You're going to make sure as invoices come in that somebody's taking care of that. And you want to make sure eventually you're going to be audited like any other agency. So you have to have that finance component to ensure that the dollars spent, and most of these are, in our case, are public dollars. We want to make sure that they are spent properly and accounted for. The next step is hopefully the project is smooth sailing, but as we know, some projects have a few hiccups. So you want to make sure you have that legal aspect, right? So there's a couple things. We might purchase a piece of land in order to construct it. There may be an easement. There may be any land acquisition, a vacation. You might come up with an alley or a parcel that's owned by someone else. So you want to make sure that you have someone that can work as either general counsel or paralegal, and I know City Colleges has that program to go over those things. There's claims, there's dispute, if someone gets hurt on the job site. So you need that legal aspect as well in construction. And again, back to budgeting. So you have what you think the project costs at the beginning. You think it's going to cost $100, but come to find out it's a renovation. You open up a wall and it's all asbestos, or you're digging in the ground and come to find out there's two tanks down there and you have to pivot. And so the budget department is going to make sure that the budgets adhere to what's in the contract, but also are able to pivot accordingly. So while the project is moving, you have outreach and engagement. So this is part of what we're doing right now. We're making sure that everyone is aware of the project. People know what's going to happen. They want to know, hey, how is this going to benefit my community? And most importantly, all the agencies are working together to ensure that the work site is a reflection of the community in which it's being built. We are all striving to make sure that that is happening. The next portion is risk management. So people don't really think about insurance or risk management with construction, but just think you have cranes, you have people on scaffolding. You want to make sure all your things are buttoned up, and that's where insurance takes place. So you want to make sure you have that. As we move forward, and as we know in this state of affairs how much IT is important, you want to make sure that all your systems are up and running. You also want to make sure you have a nice website so you can display all the work that you're doing. And you want to make it available to the public so they can see. One thing that they might want to know is, hey, there's a loud construction happening by my house. How long is it going to take? So there is a specialized in construction scheduling. There's certain softwares that people do, and that's a niche market that people are in, and that really they're called schedulers. And so that's something that people really don't take heed to, that's part of construction. And then you have your other professional services, which might be, you need a traffic study, you might have to do some geotechnical work in the ground, you have to test, so especially like an IDOT project, you have to test that concrete before you pour it. After you pour it, you have to test it again to make sure it's in the manner they want to be. So those are some of the general professional services that folks don't think of. And you can find out more about the Public Building Commission with signing up for our PBC alert. I know some of you probably got our alert with this construction talks today, but you can definitely sign up on our website. And I think that's the next slide. You can always contact us in the virtual world. You can definitely give us a call. We will answer. pbc@pbcchicago.com is available if you have questions. Part of our communications team, our compliance team, is on that email, so someone will definitely respond to you. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Cheryl from City Colleges.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Lori. And Cheryl, go ahead, take it away.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. I'm Cheryl Freeman Smith, Director of Apprenticeship Partnerships with City Colleges of Chicago. And our Chancellor, Juan Salgado, comes from a working class family from the South Side of Chicago, had a vision of really encouraging folks to complete their education at City Colleges and have opportunities. And one of the things that he announced about a year and a half ago was that over 50% of the students that complete their education at City Colleges would have a work-based learning opportunity. Apprenticeships is part of that world, as well as internships and other opportunities. So we're really focused on making our education work for us. So we have 7 colleges, and we are 7 strong. Some people know this and some people don't, but each college has an area of focus. Harold Washington is business, Malcolm X is healthcare, Richard J. Daley College is advanced manufacturing and engineering, Olive Harvey College is transportation, distribution, and logistics, Kennedy King has culinary, auto collision, as well as construction management, Wilbur Wright has software development and engineering, and Harry S. Truman College has education. Today we're going to talk about non-trades apprenticeships.
Now, Cheryl, I'm sorry, if I can interject.
Sure.
I wanted to poll our viewers one more time and just kind of ask them, and we've actually got some poll results regarding all apprenticeships labor-based. So we had an overwhelming 25% say yes, and then 75% said no. So can you demystify the process for us and give us more insight on those non-trades apprenticeships?
Sure. So most people, when you think of the term apprenticeship, you think of the labor unions and the trades opportunities. But just as Lori mentioned earlier, there are so many other opportunities and jobs that are needed to complete the process of a construction project and in general. And so we're going to talk today about non-trades apprenticeships, the basics of what are you looking for, the 101s of apprenticeships. The first thing is it has to be paid by the employer. It is not an apprenticeship if you're not receiving payment. It's a structured on-the-job training, which the employer is part of that process. Related technical instruction, and that's where City Colleges comes in, as well as industry credentials and rewards for skill gains. This is important to look at because in our society in the United States, we don't really talk about apprenticeships unless we are speaking of the trade unions. But in other countries, they've been doing apprenticeships for years, and we are finally catching up on this. And it's really an amazing opportunity to allow our students at City Colleges and throughout the US to have the paid employment. The hours are usually anywhere from 20 to 40 hours a week, and the apprenticeship is 1 to 2 years. We found great gains with students working between 25 and 35 hours a week, as well as completing their education while they're doing that. The structured on-the-job training specific to that employer, hands-on opportunity to work while they're on the job, related technical instruction, we're making sure that we're providing coursework that's designed to complement the skills, and the students are able to take 2 to 4 classes per term while they're working. Industry credentials, and at City Colleges that comes in a lot of forms. It could be a certificate if a person goes through our software boot camp. It could be a degree, or it can be if the apprenticeship is registered through the Department of Labor, certification that comes from that. But of course, these gains that are great for our students, they're making incredible amounts of money, increasing their opportunities to advance and learning the competencies that are needed for those opportunities. What we have seen is an 85 to 90% retention rate once the student starts the apprenticeship to when they start the employment. Some of the professional services apprenticeships that we have directly worked with are in accounting. And as Lori mentioned, this is a huge area, especially when you have a project that is going to have some logistics based around it, procurement, CFM project-based financial work, IT, technical support and deployment is what's needed. Every company in the United States needs cybersecurity to make sure they protect their customers. Information security, architectures, owner statement review and inspection assistance, construction management, which would provide project estimations and planning, paralegal, contract supports, and other areas to consider, security, logistics, and transportation, as CDL drivers. Those are some of the professional services, and we'll go a little bit more detail with each school. One thing we do know is that this is difficult. It is not easy to work and go to school at the same time, so we have provided some program supports. Mentorship is important, program coordination, making sure that the school knows your hours of work and the employer knows those things so that it's not overwhelming to the person. Our students are all ages, all walks of life, so you don't have to just be coming out of high school looking for an opportunity. You could be seasoned in another area and want to make a change. We work with 1 Million Degrees, an organization that helps us with our professional development for the student. Sometimes it's employer-led, sometimes the campus-leaded, online learning, just to make sure that this person is able to be successful in the career. Harold Washington College apprenticeships. Those that are highlighted in bold are those that also relate to the construction industry that Lori has mentioned already, but graphic design, human resources, insurance or risk management, accounting, architecture, and paralegal. Those that may not be as directly related, we also have apprenticeships in marketing, banking, and business. These have all been very successful, and we've worked with organizations that will pay for the students' tuition in addition to their actual salary while the student is working. So this is an opportunity in apprenticeships to have the tuition paid, to continue working, and then to be able to grow in the industry. And well, again, as I mentioned, we had some organizations that came to us thinking that they were doing us a favor with social responsibility, and then they began to learn that our students work hard and they are tenacious and they will continue to grow, and they've had over a 90% retention rate, increasing diversity and allowing growth. Wilbur Wright College apprenticeships, software engineering, cybersecurity is now at all 7 campuses, software development, network administration, web development, and information technology. All of these are apprenticeships that are in the construction industry and basically are in all industries. Kennedy King College has 2 sister colleges, organizations working under them, Dawson Technical Institute, as well as Washburn Culinary Institute. Interestingly enough, our Dawson Tech has our pre-apprenticeship program. So if you are more of the person that likes to take a shower after you go to work, you would do great in all of those programs, everything from carpentry to bricklaying. But they also have a construction management program, which would allow you to be able to eventually become a general contractor or even work as a project manager, as Lori mentioned earlier. The other programs that they have is culinary, hospitality management. If you've ever been to the South Shore Cultural Center, the restaurant they have there, that is all done by Washburn. In addition, HVAC opportunities and auto collision are part of our apprenticeships through Kennedy King College. We couldn't do this without our partners. I'm mentioning just a few here because they have just been instrumental in helping our students be successful. As I mentioned, Aon initially focused on insurance and then opened it up to human resources and information technology. Weber Shandwick, one of the largest public relations organizations in the world, has chosen our student to be a graphic design artist with them, and he's from Kennedy King College. JP Morgan Chase hired 5 students last year and 8 students this year, software development and business operations, opportunities of growth, pay for their education after a year. These students are set for life. Friedman Seating, advanced manufacturing, industrial maintenance, CNC operations, those are apprenticeships. Accenture, again, human resources, user experience, data science, information technology. McDonald's and Walgreens, They work with us to create a retail management apprenticeship, which focuses on, they started the hands-on working in the stores now, but eventually will become a store manager. Lastly, Rush focused on our medical assistant program and HIT, information technology. Gilbane, one of the great partnerships we have with them in construction management, and looking to partner on a long-term scale as this COVID-19 ends. PepsiCo, we work with them on supply chain management and industrial maintenance. And SDI, minority-owned company that has city contracts all over the city, are doing information technology and cybersecurity. And our students are working in those apprenticeship roles with these organizations. So again, as I mentioned, we are 7 colleges, 7 strong, and we actually have mascots for all 7 colleges. So they're all like fighting to get in this selfie here. But I just thought it was cool for you to know that we are very, very strong as an organization. We're the 2nd largest community college system in the nation. And if you have other questions about apprenticeships, this email address right here comes to me. Send your questions and we'll try to get you connected as soon as possible. But I would like to end with a video that talks about a young man who worked hard and is a hard worker, but wouldn't have had an opportunity unless an apprenticeship like this had opened up for him. His name is Victor. Can you?
China, I think you have to unmute yourself.
Unmute. All right.
Is it playing from the other, look, I know
No,
you twice on the other computer.
Yeah, it's playing from the original one. Sorry, guys. We're experiencing some technical difficulties.
Because that one's on mute. So that's why I was going to say maybe unmute that one.
No. All right, so what we can do is we can send everyone the video. I'm gonna get out of this screen. Sorry about that. And trying to get back to our other screen, sorry. I'm gonna stop sharing. Okay. All right. All right, thank you everyone. So we'll definitely send the video out that Cheryl sent. And we wanted to open it up for questions that anyone in the audience may have. I know you guys have been sending different questions about just the recording and folks being a part of the conversation next. But Cheryl or Lori, if there's anything that you may have left out, anything that you feel like you want to share for participants. We did get a question about how do we get in contact with someone from Kennedy King for apprenticeships.
So if they email me at that email address that was shared, ccc at apprenticeship, apprenticeship at ccc.edu, sorry, apprenticeship at ccc.edu, I will make sure we get them connected.
Perfect. And Lori, did you have anything else that you wanted to provide for our participants on today? You're on mute.
That was it. That's helpful. I hope that people in the chat room would provide any questions they may have or skill set that they may have questions on regarding those different professional buckets they can fall in that might be helpful. We may be able to do a little HR as well while we're on the line. If people have questions like, I'm good, I'm detail oriented on this, what are some skill sets that you think may be helpful? So anything in the chat box that folks may have questions for would be helpful.
Now, we did have someone ask a question about rate sheets, and if we could provide, I guess, some for some of the positions that we had. Do you guys have that on hand, or do you have somewhere that individuals could potentially find that information, like, I guess, the different salaries of the positions that we talked about today?
So I saw that question as well. Typically, rate sheets are used for trade unions. So, for example, a sprinkler pipe fitter, there's a rate sheet, and it gives you the rate for what a journey worker, what an apprentice would make, and what a laborer would make. Different from a salaried employee, right? So we can give ranges, but a good place to look is actually Glassdoor. Indeed are some good starting points to see where it is. Sometimes it may be a little misleading. So if someone types in how much does an engineer make, they may start you out as a project engineer, which means you might have just gotten out of college or finished your associate's degree, and then may start off at, let's say, 40,000, all the way up to a structural engineer that's been in the industry who's making almost $400,000. So sometimes you got to look and make sure to see where you fit in and the experience you have. Same thing with an accountant. You could be you could work in accounts payable, but you can be a junior accounts payable person all the way up to a controller or a CPA. So you just have to make sure that you look at it in those constructs of what the actual job is.
Okay, so we have another question, and that is in regard to, so we had a viewer ask, what degrees do each of you have?
Okay, I'll start off. I wish I had my thing in front because I showed it off yesterday. I attended Florida A&M University in Tallahassee, Florida. My major was business administration, and I had a focus on accounting. Afterwards, I attended Howard University in DC, and I have my JD, and I've been a barred attorney for over 20, for some time. I have experience. I don't want to say how old I am, but those are the two. And I started to get, I have a couple of my MBA classes that I probably could finish up during this COVID crisis. But I think my undergrad in business, when I went to law school, gives me a good roundabout feeling about where the construction industry is, because again, it starts from concept all the way to fruition of the project.
Great. Oh, and for me, I received my undergrad degree in industrial engineering and management sciences from Northwestern University. And I learned very early on that we all have specific talents that we have. And I just didn't know to use those talents. So I was the one person that everyone came to when they were going to get a job. I would help them with their resume. I would help them get oh, don't wear that, change those shoes and all of that. I did all of that. I didn't realize I could actually have a career in workforce development. And so I started out in logistics. I worked in that industry for a while, and to be able to merge the two and work in the
Cheryl, I think that we might have lost you. No worries. Do we have one more? Okay, we got it. Thank you. Cheryl? Hey, Cheryl?
Yes.
You cut off a little bit.
Oh boy, sorry about that.
No worries.
So I don't know how far you get, but industrial engineering, Northwestern, and a master's degree with a focus on leadership. That's my background.
All right, great, great. All right, well, without further ado, I think we're going to go ahead and end today's session. What we'll be doing is we'll be sharing just contact information. I know that Lori shared her information in regards to where you guys can find this information from in her PowerPoint slide, but we'll definitely share the information with you guys as well so that you can find out more about the Public Building Commission of Chicago, as well as the City Colleges of Chicago, and any workforce opportunities with CTA's RPM project. So we are working with 2 workforce development consultants, Hire 360 and the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership. And if you guys are interested in trade-related positions, please contact those 2 workforce partners. We'll be sending out an email after this broadcast to share more information with you guys, like I said, about the Public Building Commission, City Colleges of Chicago and their apprenticeship programs, as well as CTA's RPM project and our workforce development consultants that we've hired. So we appreciate you guys joining us today. We are looking forward to seeing you at the next Construction Talks next week, where we will be co-hosted by the Illinois Department of Transportation and again, City Colleges of Chicago. But this time we'll have Dawson Technical Institute to talk more about the Highway Construction Careers Training Program. So thank you guys for joining, and we're looking forward to seeing you next week. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you guys for today.
Thank you.